Hello, greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen, and friends, maybe an occasional foe or two. Hey, this is Stan once again, and it is a Saturday morning, and I've been thinking about a number of things that we're going to try and do as we bring the fourth quarter, at least in terms of our calendar. Of course, for many of us, it is the first quarter of the new year, and you probably know the story behind that. And we are continuing to build what we think will be one of the best ways for you to know how to market yourself and your business. And it's because the new marketing is about performance marketing, learning to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is using the modern media to some of its fullest extent. Now, of course, here we are in the What It Takes radio studio. Again, we have maybe even hundreds of different studios because they're all virtual. But this is one of my favorite ones. And in fact, I would envy it if it were real. Somebody might have one like it. I love it. I had things like this. See, this is a vintage studio. Now look at those beautiful old radios. I love the old radios. Had a number of them. And up there, there's another old radio and some old classic books. And then a couple posters, the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience, which is a significant part of what we do. And then I love the misspelling that was, I think, done on purpose. How to be useful. We just talked about that the other day. And how to be useful. Yeah, that works. We'll take it from there. Now, also, what I did kind of deliberately, and I knew a little bit that would be a good illustration because we're going to teach you all kinds of things about how to use the media. Now, my shirt is, you can probably tell, it's a really light blue, but it may almost pass, in some respects, in some views, as white. Now, I know a little bit about the history of that. White shirt is what everybody would wear. And that was it, you know. And in many cases, it still is for certain situations. But the way the blue shirt became was it was built for early television back in the 1950s and 60s. Now, the reason is that the cameras were not that good by any means, and the lights were white hot. And what would happen is if a gentleman, a man, wore a white shirt, it would just be blaringly white. I mean, it would be just all reflecting. So what they had to do is the men had to wear light blue. And because it was a light blue, however, it didn't come across as white blue on the screen and on the video presentation or on the television. It came across as white. And so they began. And then, of course, it became the custom for a number of people to do that. There are a lot of things like that you have to know because if you're going to use the modern media, which you have no choice anymore, it's the performance economy. You're going to have to learn how to do this and perhaps to do it pretty well. Now, you can still be an amateur, and you should be, maybe an enhanced amateur, maybe even almost semi-professional, but you're going to have to learn how to use the media. Now, one of the things you'll have to do is you'll have to have a little bit of a color analysis and learn how to use colors. Now, I would just like to make this kind of a fun thing because we made a significant decision about the colors for Stan Houston and all of his presentations. And there's a long story, but it's actually kind of fascinating. What I tell people is choose your colors. Maybe your color or a couple colors and stick to your color. Now, I have discovered for a variety of reasons that I have fallen for power colors. Now, here, just very briefly, are some of my power colors, and you need to think about it. First of all, I love black and white. In fact, many, many times I preferred that the photos that were taken of me were in black and white. There's a certain thing to that. And you can also add sepia and other colors. So make sure you have a number of pictures of yourself that are also black and white. But then here are the colors that I have chosen. First of all, it is significant. Silver. Oh, come on, camera. There we go, camera. Silver color. How about that? I love silver, plain silver. Now I have scads of plain color ties. I love ties. I'm now out of style because I like ties. I could wear a tie all the time, but I don't. My wife says, you look good. You look too formal sometimes. All right, I got that. But I love, and I always had a just a plain color tie, even before Trump did, I think, or at least about the same time. But of course, he made it popular. So silver. Then, of course, red. Ha ha ha! A red tie. Now, this is a Trump thing, but I've always loved red. Significant color. Black, white, and red was a lot of the stuff I used a great deal. So this is a red tie. So black and white, silver, and red. What do you think is the next one? Black and white, silver and red. Yeah, there it goes. See, look at gold. Now, there are different colors of gold. This is a light gold, which I use sometimes, but I also have kind of a darker gold, which gives a deeper, darker look to it, because sometimes you want the gold to actually have a little more pop to it. But whenever I'm having anything designed, my studio, which of course, they're all virtual, whenever I'm trying to dress for leadership, no, not dress for success, dress for leadership. You always want to be mistaken as someone who is a leader in something. That doesn't mean that you are a leader, but dress for leadership. So there you go. Now here's I shared this with one of my friends, and he said, "Stan, I'm stealing it. Black, white, silver, red, gold. I like that." By the way, also you have to make sure that you may have heard about this. What season are you? Are you a summer? Are you in? I know my wife was very, very big into color analysis, and she's very, very bright. She always looks great because her colors are perfect for her. And of course, she vets me all the time. As I oftentimes have to say, I say, I can't step out into public without passing inspection, which is a good thing to do because many of us men would not dress nearly as well as we should, because remember, image is not everything, but it's always the first thing. And in my line of work, I always have to be prepared, no matter where I'm at, to present myself and maybe pitch myself. I would never get on an airplane, and I would never dress in such a way that if I landed up sitting, standing, being by some significant person, not because they're significant, except I treat everybody as if they're significant, but there might be a way that I could build a relationship with them that is either personal or spiritual or commercial. Yeah. And so I always dress a little bit for leadership. Old fashioned. Remember, they always used to do that. And wear a hat. And I wear a hat a lot now. Like I said, now I've always been old school, really old fashioned. But now, of course, I am really old. So it kind of works a little bit better for me. There we go. I would like to encourage you, think about that now. What would be your power colors and how would you use them? In your business card, in your office decor, in how you dress? What would be the colors that bring the power element to you, from you, with you? Remember, you know, many, many occasions, it is a power world. And we have to be understanding of that and to use the power we have only for the benefit of others. Try and do that from time to time. Acquiring the power, but for the benefit of others. I'm Stan. Thank you for your time. I trust everything will go well for you. Best and blessings for the weekend. And as we enter into the final yearly part of the holiday season, that you will have some significant memories, maybe a few miracles, and some real, maybe marketing triumphs in your life and business. If I can be a part of helping you do that, I think I can. Be glad to speak to you, your group, your business, your church, your congregation on how to make your mark in the marketplace in the world today. And then maybe even a more significant question. I oftentimes remind you, you are now in a situation in which you are either living the life you want or you're kind of living the life you got. And what would you like to do in terms of perhaps being closer to living the life you want? And I was an idiot.